Welcome to Tell Me More Stories Told Us podcast.
Great to be here.
Get ready because today we're diving deep, really embarking on an adventure into the life of Brittany Murphy.
Hmm.
And this isn't just, a simple retelling. We're really aiming to journey through the highs, the lows, the laughs, the drama, everything that made her such a captivating actress and singer.
Absolutely. She had this incredible energy.
Totally. We've gathered some really fascinating insights to unpack her story, from those very early dreams right up to the Hollywood spotlight and even her music.
It's quite a trajectory.
So yeah, buckle up. You're about to discover the many layers of a uniquely talented individual.
And what grabs you immediately is that contrast, isn't it? This almost like fairy tale beginning, but then hitting these really tough real-world challenges.
Exactly. Born Brittany Ann Bertolotti, Atlanta, 77.
Right. And then moving to New Jersey with her mom, Sharon, after the divorce. She was only 3. That part feels familiar.
Yeah, lots of people experience
Yeah.
that, but then
But then you get these almost unbelievable details. Her dad's supposed links to the Italian mafia. The family's struggling financially.
the spaghetti every night story.
Yeah, and having to ask her mom for clothes from Kmart. It's just such a different world from the one she'd end up in, the red carpets and all that.
It really paints a picture, doesn't it? And it feels like those early struggles, they weren't just obstacles, they really seem to have shaped who she became.
You think so? How?
Well, there's this connection people make later, her involvement with charities for the homeless.
Yeah.
It suddenly feels much deeper when you know her own background.
Ah, I see. That makes sense. Gives it context.
But even with all that going on, this just massive drive to perform, it just bursts out.
It really does. Training in singing, dancing, acting from age 4.
4 years old. At the Vern Fowler School of Dance and Theater Arts, that's not just like a casual interest, that's a real calling.
Totally agree. It points to this like fundamental passion she had. And her stage debut at 10 in Really Rosie.
And Les Miserables, too. Those aren't small things for a kid. Significant milestones.
Definitely. And what's interesting is that even way back then, people noted her acting style was really energetic.
She even said herself, didn't she? Something like her first memories were wanting to entertain people.
Exactly. That level of focus, that ambition at such a young age,
Yeah.
it's pretty remarkable.
And then the big move to LA in 91, the whole family, well, her and her mom, moving just to support her acting. That's a huge commitment from Sharon.
Oh, absolutely. Sharon definitely seems like the anchor in those early years. Her rock, as you said earlier.
She really does. And it didn't take long for Brittany to start getting roles, did it?
No, she hit the ground running, relatively speaking. A guest spot on Murphy Brown in 91.
Then her first proper Hollywood job at 13 in Drexel's Class.
And then that string of TV appearances. Parker Lewis Can't Lose, Blossom, Frasier.
Sequest, Murder One. She was popping up everywhere.
Yeah, building that resume, getting experience. Recurring roles, too, in Party of Five, Boy Meets World, Sister, Sister.
It's like watching someone methodically learn their trade, right? Putting in the hours.
Precisely. Those early gigs are so important for any actor. Learning the ropes on set, finding your rhythm. But the big one, the moment everyone really sat up and noticed, that was Clueless, 1995.
Oh, Clueless. Ty Frazier. She was just unforgettable. You're a virgin who can't drive.
Iconic line.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, she was the youngest one in the main cast. Barely 17 when filming started.
Wow. And her performance got so much praise. Didn't one of her old acting teachers predict she'd be a huge star?
Yeah, apparently so. It just shows that raw talent was obvious right from the start.
And Clueless wasn't just critically liked, it was a massive hit, right? A sleeper hit.
Totally. Made way more money than its budget. Just
Yeah.
captured that mid-90s vibe perfectly.
And here's a little fun fact, or maybe just a unique situation.
Yeah.
Because she was still technically school age.
Oh, yeah.
She had tutors on set. She couldn't go to regular high school while filming. Imagine doing math homework between takes of Clueless.
That is wild. A very different kind of high school experience.
Absolutely. And then right after that whirlwind success, life throws another curveball. Her mom gets diagnosed with breast cancer.
Oh, wow. That must have been incredibly tough.
Yeah, and Brittany apparently stepped right up, became her caregiver for a time. It shows that strong bond again.
Definitely. And then, just a couple of years later, she's making her Broadway debut, Arthur Miller's A View from the Bridge.
Talk about range. From Ty Frazier to Arthur Miller, it says so much about her ambition, her versatility. She wasn't going to be put in a box.
Not at all. She clearly didn't just want to ride the Clueless wave. She actively looked for different, more challenging stuff. Indie films like Freeway, Bong Water,
Hmm.
and then that TV movie, The Devil's Arithmetic. Critics started noticing something else in her, didn't they? Like an ethereal quality.
That's a great description. She did have that sometimes, a sort of captivating, almost otherworldly vibe.
And then came Girl, Interrupted,
Yeah.
playing Daisy Randone, that troubled patient, alongside Winona Ryder, Angelina Jolie. Big league stuff.
And she totally held her own, got that Young Artists Awards nomination for it, really cementing her status as a serious actress.
And let's not forget Drop Dead Gorgeous,
Yeah.
that dark comedy. She was perfect as the aspiring beauty queen, Lisa Swenson.
Yeah.
Just embraced the quirkiness.
She really did. And while all this movie stuff is happening, she's also got this incredibly steady voice acting gig.
Right. Luanne Platter on King of the Hill for the entire run of the show,
Yeah.
over a decade.
And she voiced Joseph Gribble, too, for the first few seasons.
Yeah. Apparently she really enjoyed doing voiceovers, like that she could, just roll up and do it from home, maybe even in her PJs.
Huh. That's a great image. And she got nominated for an Annie Award for it, too, which is a big deal in animation.
It really is.
Yeah.
So, okay, moving into the 2000s, she's taking on these even higher profile projects.
Like Cherry Falls, the thriller, and Don't Say a Word with Michael Douglas.
Right, and even when the movies themselves got maybe mixed reviews, her performance often got singled out for praise, especially in Don't Say a Word.
She had that intensity. And then, of course, 8 Mile.
Huge, critically acclaimed, commercially massive. And her role as Alex, opposite Eminem.
Yeah, she really connected with audiences there. Held her own against a huge music star in his acting debut. It was impressive.
Definitely. Then you've got Uptown Girls with Dakota Fanning, playing that nanny whose dad was a rock star.
A role with a music connection.
Yeah.
Which maybe hinted at her own musical side.
It's a perfect time to talk about that, actually, because acting wasn't her only passion.
Right. But hey, before we dive into the music, just a quick reminder. If you're enjoying this deep dive into Brittany Murphy's incredible story, please do hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, don't miss out.
You won't want to miss our upcoming explorations right here on Tell Me More Stories Told Us podcast. Okay, so music.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating thread in her life, because she was so known as an actress, but music was clearly something deeply important to her.
And she was talented, apparently learned instruments pretty fast, piano, even the trumpet.
Yeah, seems she had a natural knack for it. And here's another cool bit. Early on, she actually sang backing vocals on other artists' albums.
Really?
Yeah, but secretly. She wanted to learn how studios worked, get that experience without the, Brittany Murphy, the movie star label attached.
Wow, that shows real dedication to the craft itself, just wanting to learn.
It really does. And her biggest musical hero, Madonna.
No way!
Yep. She apparently aspired to be her own kind of Madonna figure, pushing boundaries, that kind of thing.
That gives you a sense of her ambition, musically. So what about her own music? Did she release much?
Well, a full solo album never actually happened while she was alive, sadly. Though some demo tracks did eventually leak online, giving a little taste.
Okay. But she was in a band earlier.
Yeah, way back in the early 90s, a band called Blessed Soul. But her biggest musical splash was definitely that single with Paul Oakenfold in 2006.
Faster Kill Pussycat. That track was everywhere.
Huge club hit. Topped the Billboard dance chart, top 10 in the UK. It was massive.
It really showed a different side of her, didn't it? Different energy.
Totally. And then she also contributed vocals to the Happy Feet soundtrack.
Yeah. Covering Queen's Somebody to Love.
And Earth, Wind and Fire's Boogie Wonderland. She actually said her character in that, Gloria the Penguin, was the one she felt most like.
Oh, that's sweet. That connection probably comes through in the singing.
I think so, too. It feels like music was this really personal, creative space for her.
Definitely seems that way. Okay, so shifting gears a bit. Her personal life. It's kind of impossible to talk about her career without touching on it, right? It was often in the spotlight.
For sure. We know about her relationships. Ashton Kutcher, they met filming Just Married.
Right. Reportedly engaged for a bit. And she was also engaged to talent manager Jeff Quatinetz and later production assistant Joe Macaluso.
And we can't forget that really close friendship she had with Winona Ryder.
Yeah, she called Ryder her definitive mentor. That says a lot.
It really does. And remember that whole fuss about the playful kiss they shared? Led to totally unfounded rumors.
Right, which Brittany seemed to just brush off. But it's really sad to hear that Winona Ryder found a hard-to-watch girl, interrupted after Brittany died because of her character's fate in the film.
God, yeah. That really hits home how deep their connection must have been.
And then there was that brief relationship with Eminem while they were making 8 Mile.
Right. Short-lived. But he later said her death really affected him deeply, another sign of the impact she had on people.
It seems so. And then, well, then came her marriage to Simon Monjack in 2007.
Yeah, and well, he's still a pretty controversial figure, isn't he?
Seems that way. Lots of reports, accusations from colleagues and ex-fiancé about deception, being controlling.
Mm-hmm. And stories about friends and even family trying to intervene in the relationship. It paints a picture of a potentially difficult situation in her later years.
It certainly adds a layer of complexity.
Yeah.
And that brings us, unfortunately, to the discussions around her health.
Yeah, that became a big topic, the significant weight loss she had in the early 2000s.
It led to so many rumors, didn't it? Drugs, eating disorders.
Which she always denied. Vehemently.
There were also observations about her smoking cigarettes, though she claimed it wasn't frequent. But then she also did anti-smoking campaigns.
It's a bit confusing, yeah. Adds to the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And there was also information suggesting she might have had type 1 diabetes.
Right, another factor potentially affecting her health.
And it's just heartbreaking to hear friends like Melanie Linsky mention this, talk about the intense pressure Brittany felt. Pressure to look a certain way for Hollywood.
That constant scrutiny.
Exactly. And how it apparently really got to her, affected her self-image, maybe even her physical health. People noticed she seemed very thin, maybe frail towards the end.
It's such a harsh spotlight, that industry. A tough reminder of the pressures involved.
It really is. And it all leads up to that incredibly sad day, December 20th, 2009.
Yeah. When she collapsed at home and passed away, she was only 32. Just devastatingly young.
So young.
Yeah.
And the official cause of death? The coroner's report cited pneumonia.
Right, pneumonia was primary. But with contributing factors, severe iron deficiency anemia, and multiple drug intoxication.
Yeah, but important to note, it was over-the-counter and prescription meds, likely for a cold or respiratory infection she had. The manner of death was ruled accidental.
Accidental. Still just tragic. She's buried at Forest Lawn in the Hollywood Hills.
And the immediate aftermath. Her husband, Simon Monjack, and her mother, Sharon, they initially denied drugs played any part, didn't they? Suggested a heart condition.
They did, which makes what happened next even more shocking and, well, unsettling.
Simon Monjack dying just 5 months later, in the same house.
From acute pneumonia and severe anemia, the parallels are just uncanny and inevitably led to so much speculation.
Understandably, questions about the house itself. Toxic mold was suggested.
Right, the coroner looked into it, initially dismissed it, but later Sharon Murphy actually came out saying she believed mold was the cause. She even filed lawsuits related to it.
And then, adding another layer, Brittany's father, Angelo Bertolotti, commissioned his own toxicology report years later.
Yeah, and he claimed it showed possible poisoning by heavy metals, but Sharon strongly disputed those findings.
So it remains very complicated, lots of conflicting information, and ultimately maybe no definitive, universally accepted answer beyond the coroner's initial report.
It seems that way. And amidst all of that confusion and grief, the Brittany Murphy Foundation was set up.
Right, with the goal of supporting things like children's arts education, which felt like a fitting tribute.
Yeah, but it ran into some issues, didn't it? Problems with its nonprofit status.
Her father tried to relaunch it later, but eventually it seems to have just faded away, which is also quite sad.
It is. But despite all the tragedy and the unanswered questions surrounding her death, her legacy as a performer, that definitely lives on.
Oh, absolutely. She's remembered as this just magnetic presence on screen, wasn't she? So versatile.
Totally. She could be incredibly funny and relatable 1 minute and then deeply dramatic and captivating the next.
That's a rare combination. And it's undeniable, really, that dying so young meant she couldn't build that even longer, more substantial body of work we might have seen.
Yeah, what might have been. But the work she did leave behind, it still resonates. People still watch her films.
Definitely. And you hear those fond memories from co-stars like Dakota Fanning or Alicia Silverstone talking about how blown away she was by Brittany's audition for Clueless.
Right. Those personal stories really highlight her talent, her unique spirit.
Even her music had a resurgence after her death, didn't it? Faster Kill Pussycat re-entered the UK dance chart. Shows that connection people felt.
And the documentaries, like What Happened, Brittany Murphy, there's still this fascination with her story, trying to understand it all.
It's a story that sticks with you.
It really does. Ultimately, Brittany Murphy's journey, it's poignant, isn't it? Maybe even a cautionary tale in some ways.
Yeah, it touches on the highs of fame, the pressures, the potential dangers of that Hollywood world.
And just the fragility of life itself. But her talent, that vibrant, unique spirit, it undeniably left a mark on entertainment, even in a relatively short time.
No doubt about it. A truly memorable spark.
So we hope this deep dive has maybe offered you a bit more insight, a more nuanced look at her life and career.
Yeah, hopefully.
What parts of Brittany Murphy's story stand out most to you? Are there questions that still linger? We definitely encourage you to maybe revisit her films, her music, and keep exploring her legacy.
Definitely worth doing.
Thank you so much for joining us on this adventure into her life right here on Tell Me More Stories Told as Podcast.